Hello, everybody. So I'm Jeff Banks, and I am the director of Open Acadia, which includes our Learning Technologies and Instructional Design team, which are the people that help professors to design their courses with using technology as well as pedagogy. As you can imagine, this year we're going to have considerably more technology use within our courses, so we thought we would have a session on your academic life with technology. Our presenters today are Danielle Pierce from the Learning Technology and Instructional Design team, and Lisa Speigel, who's with Technology Services. We also have some support people, Jerry George from Technology Services and Justin Lingard from Learning Technologies and Instructional Design for answering any of your questions and assisting us. The other person that is helping me with this event is Anna Kiefty. She's with the Department of Physics. And every once in a while, you may see a cat jump up here because I can't seem to get rid of her today. And that's Maggie. So she can be pretty intrusive sometimes. So we're going to, and there she is. So we're going to start, and here's Danielle to start us off.
Hello and welcome to your academic life with technology. Here are some of the things we're going to chat about today. So Lisa's going to talk about network accounts and getting your access set up and the importance of email this year, as well as Office 365, which all of you have access to, has a wide range of applications available to you. And it has a lot of collaboration tools built in. So she's going to talk a little bit about those and how you might anticipate your classes using them. And then I'm going to talk about our learning management system, which is called Acorn, or some of you may have heard it called Moodle. Acorn is just an acronym for Moodle. The learning management system is where you're going to find a lot of your course information, your course resources, instructions, expectations from your profs, as well as a lot of the assignments where you'll upload assignments, do quizzes, that kind of stuff. So we'll take a little bit of time to look at that. And then just talking about the importance of the syllabus this year, especially, is going to be very important, and how to read a syllabus and then take that into account to managing your time well. And then Lisa's going to finish off the presentation by talking about cybersecurity and privacy, which is, again, going to be really important this year, as well as academic software, where you can get it, who you can contact if you're having issues. And then we'll look at some of the logistics of technology on campus. So getting your Wi-Fi set up, Wi-Fi in residence, printing, where you can do that, get your laptop repaired, all that kind of stuff. And just some broad information about technology services and how they can help you out.
Thank you, Danielle. So the first thing is we use network account, username, email, often interchangeably. They really do mean the same thing. So if your student number, for example, is 100012345 and your name is Jane Smith, your username is 012345S. And then that becomes your email, which is 012345s@acadiau.ca. And this gets you access to pretty much everything on campus and all of the access that you're going to need. So the campus Wi-Fi, if you're on campus, Acorn, which we've talked about, the LMS, Acadia Central, where you registered and put in your courses, the Hub Service Portal, which we'll talk about, which is Technology Services, where we give you information and take your service requests, Office 365, you name it. If it's some kind of network access at Acadia, you're using that network ID. So why do you need to set up your network ID and your access? Well, firstly, it's your pathway in. your Acadia email is your main and official method of communication. And as Danielle mentioned, this year more than ever, you need to check your email, because that's the way your professors are going to be communicating with you, technology services, student accounts, the registrar. This is what we use to get a hold of you. And if you've asked us for help and we respond through your email, that is the way we hope to get a hold of you. So you can go to ts.acadiu.ca/email and you can get access to how you set this up. And at the end of this, there's going to be some information that we can share with you where you can go find all of this and link to them all, but you can access it through the web at office365.acadiu.ca, the web portal, which we'll talk about. You can set it up on your phone, you can set it up on your tablet, and you can also set it up on your desktop or your laptop through MacMail or Outlook. So there are lots of ways to access it. You don't have to sticking to one way, but you do need to be checking it. So Office 365, this is the portal, and looks what the portal looks like, office365.acadiu.ca. And you can see there's a whole slew of applications. There's Word, Excel, PowerPoint, things that you should be used to using, or similar if you're used to using a Google and those kinds of Google Docs kind of applications. So this is free to you, and this is what you're going to be using to provide what you're going to be using to do your work. And it lets you connect, share, and go with everybody and everything. So it's on any device, it's safe, it's secure, you have up to 5 subscriptions, you can use it, and you can download it or use it in the cloud, and you can use those interchangeably. So for example, Danielle and I were working on this PowerPoint, and you can see my picture and her picture are both on it. We've both been using it. She was working in the cloud, I was working on the desktop. We do recommend that you download the desktop applications so that they're on your laptop. You'll find that the functionality is more robust. If you're used to using Google Docs, you'll know that sometimes you want to be able to do more, and sometimes in Word and Excel you want to be able to do more, and you're going to get more functionality. Doesn't mean that you can't use the cloud, just you can use them interchangeably. So then we get into Teams, and Teams is what you're going to be using. This is what we're using now. This is a Teams live event. Your professors will mostly be using Teams for your online classes. And Teams is sort of a hub that lets you chat, have video calls, meetings, and collaborate all in documents. So you can do that collaboration on those documents all within Teams as well. And here's some information. So when I refer to the hub service portal, that gives us knowledge-based articles, so that's how-to articles, as well as being able to put in a request. So often we'll say you could go check out the hub for Teams, so you can go to the search and search out Teams, and you'll find all sorts of information, Teams how-tos, quick reference guides. There's a couple of things, technical success with Teams and Teams meeting best practices. For more information. And again, download the desktop version. You'll find that the functionality is much more robust and much more stable. So a couple of things about Teams just to highlight. When you first go in where your picture is, your avatar or your initials, you'll see that there's something called Settings and General. So it will let you show how you want to lay it out, whether it be a grid version or a list version. And everybody should probably see at least one team to which they belong for their classroom. Your professor might not have activated it yet, so you might not see it, but eventually you will be receiving a communication from your professor about how you are expected to join your teams and participate in classes. So again, check your email. So the first couple of things is about 6 down on the list, you'll see something that says turn on new meeting experience. You just turn that on, quit Teams and go back in, and it just is a new meeting experience. It will eventually become just rolled out that way, but you might find that you want that. Notifications we'll talk about a little bit more, devices, and the one thing we don't really spend a ton of time on is you can do calls one-on-one with people, and you can set up your voicemail. You might find that fun. So settings in your devices. Devices, this is where you would go. You're going to need a good webcam and a good microphone to make sure that your audio calls and your video calls are strong. And if you're having problems, this is just one place to go check to make sure that Teams is looking at your right audio settings and your right video settings. Excuse me. Notifications, you might find that you're not getting enough information from people, or you're getting too much and you want to mute it. So there are a couple of places you can go. In the overall settings, you can set how you want to receive your notifications. Do you want it just to be a banner? Do you also want to get an email for it? Chat messages, that kind of thing. Also, there's something called channels in Teams, and you can specifically set the channel notifications as well. And I'll show you what that looks like. So this is what the navigation bar looks like in Teams, and since you're all in it, I hope you can see it. At the top, you'll see activity, and that is basically activity that you've missed. So things that are going on, you'll see a number in a red circle, similar like you get in email or your text messages to let you know that there's been some activity. There's a chat functionality, and a chat functionality is more the one-on-one, one-on-a-couple conversation that you might be having. For example, Danielle and I would be having chats about what we wanted to add to this presentation through Teams. Teams and channels, and then the calendar app. So the calendar app ties into your Outlook, ties into your web calendar. So if you've got something in one place, you'll see it in all of the same places, and it all ties together. So if your professor has scheduled a meeting through Teams, you'll see it in that calendar app. You'll also see it in your Outlook or Office 365 app. So the chat functionality, as I said, that's one-on-one. This is kind of what it looks like. You can format it, you can make it exciting with emojis or GIFs, or you can add calendars, or you can add videos. The one thing to keep in mind, going back to the notifications, if you really want to get a hold of somebody, similar to Twitter, you can say @Danielle Pierce, and that will send a specific notification to them and point them out. So just keeping in mind those @ mentions. This is an example of a team versus channels within the team. So as I said, the chat is the more one-on-one, whereas Teams is a group of people. So your classroom, for example, or a club would be a team. And everybody, and this is an example of a welcome to an Acadia team, and you can see there's a general channel. So everybody who's in that team has access to the general channel. And then you can make groups that are smaller that you can make private. So your professor might have a private breakout session that only 4 of you go in to work on something together, whereas it might be where everybody in the group can see. For example, you might have a department session. I know the Department of Politics, for example, has a passport. So they might be announcing things through their passport, and everybody will be in that group. You can see the Faculty of Arts and the Faculty of Science are still bolded. That's an indication to me that there are some notifications in there that I have to take a look at. Within the team channel, there is also a chat functionality. So everybody in that team channel gets that chat. So if you're chatting and if your professor sends something out to you through the general channel saying, hey, welcome to Acadia, this is your introduction to political science, everybody gets that notice. Whereas the chat, again, is separate, and it's just the quiet between the two of us. So when you get a meeting, you might see it in Outlook, as I said. You might see it in your calendar. Your professor could also link that team meeting in Acorn. So you received this live events meeting, and I'm not sure how it got sent out, but it would be something similar, and it will look like Join Microsoft Teams meeting. When you go in, and I'm assuming you see a similar bar right now, this is what the bar looks like for a Teams meeting. Again, there's the device settings, you can see I have a gallery view. You can see it just down along the side. That lets you open up so you can see different people and their avatars or their pictures, like you can see Danielle and I and Jeff and Anna. At the top, you can see a participants bar, a chat bar, a raise hand functionality. So your professor will tell you their expectations in terms of how they want the chat functionality to work, how they want to do raise hands, so how they're going to work with you within Teams to have the conversations that you're doing. You can apply background. You can see my background is a little bit blurred, whereas Jeff, you can see his cat. There are things you can do to change your black background. You can add a picture. If you've been traveling, not this summer, and you want to show a picture of those travels, you can add that as well. And now it is time for me to stop talking.
Hello again. All right, so let's talk about Acorn / Moodle / the learning management system. So the learning management system is basically like an online classroom. If you've used like a Google site or Google Classrooms, it's kind of similar. Acorn's pretty straightforward in that anything that's in there, hopefully your professors have provided some instructions on how you're going to be using the activities or the applications, or where they want you to upload your assignment, or where they want you to complete a quiz. So hopefully it's all pretty simple once you log in there and can access your courses and have a look at them. But the thing that I really want to stress here is that each class is going to use Acorn differently and in different capacities. So it's entirely up to your professors how much or how little they want to use Acorn to deliver their content or to do their assessments. So you're going to find that there will be a big difference between one class and the next, and both how it's set up, what it looks like, and also the kinds of activities that they're asking you to do in Acorn. So there's a lot of different types of applications. I'm going to give you some of the most common ones to look out for and just an idea of what they are and how they work. But again, I find that from the student perspective, a lot of these applications are pretty straightforward. There's usually instructions that tell you upload your file here or click this button to go to the next page. So hopefully you won't have too much trouble with that. Things that you are likely to find in almost all of your courses, hopefully in all of your courses, you will find the course syllabus. And this is going to be probably the most important document in Acorn for this term in particular, because the syllabus is where you're going to find out what books you need to buy, who your instructor is, what their expectations are for how they want you to complete assignments, your due dates, all that kind of information will be in the syllabus. And this year, the syllabi that your professors will be providing you are also hopefully going to be a bit more comprehensive around things like how they want you to attend meetings virtually, or how they want you to do work outside a classroom, what they want you to do before class to prepare, communication strategies, and hopefully some contingency plans in case the technology doesn't work properly or you have a hard time connecting, people to contact in case you're having different kinds of technology issues. So any kind of information that you're really looking for, I would encourage you to start with your course syllabus. And then if it's not in there, that at that point, contacting your instructor or the support personnel that your instructor has identified in the syllabus is going to be a good idea. Other things you might find in there are your readings. If your professors haven't asked you to go purchase all of your books, a lot of professors this year in particular have tried pretty hard to find readings that are a bit more accessible, stuff that's online already. And you might also find some videos that they want you to watch, or even just links to resources they want you to check out. and any other course resources that you might need in order to complete your coursework. Acorn's also a space to upload assignments and do online assessments. So I'm just going to show you what those applications look like on the next page. All right, so this is an example of a course homepage. This is obviously a made-up course that I made for this purpose. But you can see here that we've got a syllabus up at the top, and that's in a web page. And then right under that, we have an office hours scheduler, and you're probably going to see this in some of your courses. What this allows you to do is to select a time to meet with your professor one-on-one in the same way that you would do if you were going to attend office hours. And people do this usually to get clarification on assignments, or if they're not understanding something. If you want to have more of a private conversation with your professor, definitely take advantage of the office hours. And I think most professors this year are going to be trying to do those in a one-on-one chat through Teams. But to schedule a time to meet with them, they may use something like a scheduler in their Acorn course, where it just shows you a list of the times they're available and you check off the one that's the best for you. And then the professor will call you and meet with you at that time. And then under that, we have some course resources. So obviously we've got a folder. Folder has a whole bunch of files in it. You might see like a folder with all your course readings in it in your Acorn course. And you can, when you open that, actually download all the files that are in that folder in one shot, which is good. And underneath, you can just see an example of what a PDF document looks like when it's uploaded into an Acorn page. Everything has a little icon, and you'll find that that's actually quite helpful for figuring out what the different kinds of activities are and how they operate. They'll become familiar over time. And under that, we have just a URL to an external resource. So this is just a link, basically, and if you click on it, it will take you to whatever it is linked to. And then under that, we have some of the more social applications or activities. So your professors might ask you to do some small assignments, more engaging activities partway through their lecture. And so they might ask you to do something like contribute to a discussion forum. And that first one under social applications, which is called announcements, that one is a discussion forum. And usually they provide instructions on how they want you to participate in those discussion forums. And there are also a few different kinds of discussion forums, so they might not all operate exactly the same. For example, there's one type of forum where you actually have to post something first before you can see what everyone else has posted. So hopefully your professors will clarify what kinds of forums they're using and how they want you to engage with them. Right under that, we see a class glossary. And this is kind of a cool application that works similar to forums, except it allows you to add things like pictures, videos, links, audio clips. And it's also a collaborative resource building tool. So you may find that there are some activities where you have to contribute something, and then the end result is that you have access to a whole pool of resources from the entire class that you can draw from to then complete your assignments. And then under that, we have the class chat room. So this is just a really, really bare bones basic chat room that lives only in this specific Acorn course. So it would just allow you to communicate with other students who are in the course with you. And then there's the feedback question. So this is kind of like a polling feature. So your professors would have to set all this up ahead of time, and they would have questions in there, and you just have to pop in there and answer them. And then the last item in that list is the personal journal. So this is a cumulative assignment, which means that once you start your journal, if you go back to add a second entry, you're actually just editing the first entry and adding to it. So your profs might do something like recommend that you date your entries just so that they can see how it's cumulatively building over the term, but it's also individual. So that means that nobody else can see your journal but you. So again, hopefully they provide some instructions on how they want you to use these types of activities. And then the last chunk of applications here are all assessment applications. So the quiz can be used to do midterms or tests. You might also find that some of them are just review opportunities prior to a midterm or like a practice test before an exam. And there are a variety of question types in here, so it's not all just multiple choice, although you may have some who are all just multiple choice. There are about a dozen different question types that are possible in the quizzes, so you might find that they are used widely in different ways. But it's all pretty straightforward. There's a next button, and as long as you hit save whenever there's a save button, you should be fine. And then under that, we have the assignment. So this is the other one that's going to be really common. This has been probably the most commonly used application prior to all this crazy COVID stuff, because it's basically like an individual Dropbox between you and your professor. So this is how we do paperless assignment delivering, basically. So if you have an essay due, you would probably have to upload your essay to an assignment folder. And it's, again, very straightforward. It tells you how to attach the document, so you shouldn't have too many issues. And under that, we have another type of assignment, which is called a Turnitin assignment. And you may have some professors who are using Turnitin. This is basically, you may have heard it called a plagiarism checker. It doesn't really check plagiarism, it checks for similarity. So what it does is it scans like this huge database of things that it can find on the internet from academic journals. And it basically checks to see, did you plagiarize? Did you copy and paste from somewhere? And it's very good at catching this. So you have been warned. It is a thing. We do have it. We do use it. And it does catch people plagiarizing all the time. So you might find that some professors don't use it at all, and you might find that some professors do. It also has the benefit of having a markup suite in it. So that means that your professors can actually like highlight certain things and leave comments for you and give you some advice on how to improve your overall structure of your essay. And provide a grade in there, and you can go in and actually review all those changes to the essay as a PDF. So it does have some benefits from the student side. It's not just a negative from the student side. All right. So syllabi, I mentioned that reading the syllabus is going to be incredibly important. I just want to really repeat that because of how important it is, especially this year. It is very common that people do not look for information in the syllabus and just ask the question when, you know, our professors have actually labored a lot over the summer to make sure that their syllabus answered as many questions as they could possibly think of in one place. So definitely go check your syllabus. Things that you're going to find in there are classroom policies and procedures, communication strategies. So if they're not just using Teams, if they have other communication strategies that they're using, that information should be in there, as well as how to contact them, how to schedule office hours. Any expectations they have, so your overall course objectives should be in there. Necessary course material, the books you need to buy, software you might need to purchase or install, articles that you may need access to for readings, videos, all that kind of stuff should be in there, as well as your assessment schedule and the evaluation table. So the evaluation table is basically how much is everything in the course worth. So your midterm might be worth 20% of your overall grade. That information is going to be in your syllabus. And then the reading and viewing schedule. And these last two items on this list are really what you need to be looking at in order to manage your time effectively. So, time management. No. Time management. No, go forward. There we go. So time management, huge recommendation, get an agenda, any kind. It really doesn't matter. So Lisa mentioned earlier that there is really good synchronization between the Outlook calendar and your Teams calendar. You can use your Outlook calendar for time management, 100%. You can also buy like a physical book, like a Moleskine, which is just a week by week calendar. There's lots of different free apps that are available as well that you can have on your phone or on your computer or tablet or whatever. But whatever you decide to use, you should stick with it and you should use it consistently. This is going to be very important especially because some of your courses might not all be scheduled this year. That means you might be doing things outside of the class in preparation, or you might even be taking some courses that are fully asynchronous, so not on a term schedule. So time managing is going to be a really important skill to learn, and it takes practice. So my number one recommendation is to take all of your syllabi. So once you have all of your courses and you've accessed all your syllabi, open them all and then write down every single due date in that calendar or agenda that you have, even your readings. And then another thing that can really help with making sure that not only do you have the due date scheduled, but you have a plan to meet those due dates is to create some personal rules for yourself. So something like, I'm always going to do my readings 2 days before they're due in class, or I'm always going to start an essay with at least 4 days before it's due. And you can even do some reminders. If you're using an electronic agenda or like an Outlook calendar, you can set notifications so that it prompts you, hey, you have an essay due in 4 days. And then you know, oh, right, I have to start this essay. And, you know, maybe this is really obvious, but this is honestly one of the simplest ways to make sure that you don't miss anything and that you're prepared and that you're meeting your due dates, because no one wants to be late. And I think that's it for me. So we're going to switch back over to Lisa, who's going to chat a bit more about some academic software and technologies.
But first, I'm going to talk about cybersecurity and privacy. So it's always an issue, no matter when you're working, but even more so now that we're finding ourselves at home more and more. It's been a thriving business over the past 6 months. Just a couple of like interesting stats that you have a greater chance of being involved in a data breach than you do by being struck by lightning. 91% of cybersecurity attacks start with a phishing email, so an email that has some kind of bizarre link or asks you to do something. So we are often sending out information about cybersecurity attacks on campus and phishing attacks on campus. If you actually want to see if your email has been involved in a data breach, you can go to the website haveibeenpwned.com. You can see that there. And I know I'm on that list, so I bet you are too, even with any of your Gmail accounts or anything like that. So a couple of things we can do to protect ourselves is it's really easy to use the same password for every account that you have. That's the best way to get hacked, is to do that. So think unique account, unique password, and make your passwords long and strong. And they can be whatever you want. They can be a passphrase, song from your favorite, or a line from your favorite song with a whole bunch of exclamation marks and other characters built into it. You can think about, I'm sure I know your Google account will have it. Apple accounts have multi-factor authentication or two-factor authentication, sometimes it's called, that asks you to text a code so that you can get access. Enable that whenever you can. And think about implementing a password safe, a password vault it's called, so that you only actually have to remember the password for that one place, and then it will fill it in and actually help you create those strong passwords. The other thing to do is keep a clean machine. So it doesn't really matter whether it's your tablet, your laptop, your phone. You want to make sure that you're protecting it. So you're setting all of the security settings for your social media accounts. You're updating all the security features, updating the OS, the operating system, when it tells you to. So if your Apple phone or your Android tells you that it's time to install something new, do it, because that's where those security settings are being updated and making sure that you're set up. On your phone or on your laptop, you might want to install some kind of antivirus or malware tracking and have that running often every day so that you're tracking to make sure that your phishing and your malware is being kept up to date. If you're going to be downloading applications, just make sure you're downloading them from a legit source. You're not just kind of going out and Googling something and finding it. Go to the App Store, go to the Google Store, and find a valid application. And generally speaking, if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So make sure that you're looking at the reviews and making sure that it seems legitimate and you've done some research into what you're downloading. And also, find out what it's asking you for. So if an application is asking you, like I always use the example, if your flashlight is asking you for access to all of your contacts, why does it need all of your contacts? It might not be legitimate. And the other thing to do is if it asks you for all of that and you deny it and the app doesn't work, that's probably a good sign as well that the application is kind of faulty. And often you can say deny and then go back and allow if once you've discovered it is a good application. So there are 3 actual places that you can get academic software for your classes. One is directly from the vendor. An example of this might be, I think, MATLAB. And again, your professors are going to tell you where to go to get what software and what software you actually need. So MATLAB might make no sense to somebody, but it might make perfect sense to somebody else in this call. The second place you can go is, it's actually a software portal store, and that will let you actually purchase or get some software for free depending on what it is. An example of this would be SPSS, which is a statistical software package that you'll need for some of your classes, more on the social sciences and business side. Also from this store, you can get a free copy of Windows. So if you've purchased an Apple laptop and you need Windows for some of your classes, this is a place to go get it. Again, if you need help with this, the service desk people and consultants are there to help you. The third place is something we've called the Acadia Virtual File Repository. Now, this is where you can go download software that Acadia has sourced for you. So it's Acadia sourced and Acadia owned software that we're licensed on your behalf. So there are those 3 places to go look. In the hub, for each one of the softwares that your faculty or your professor will tell you that you need to get, will give you instructions on how to get that particular one and send you in the appropriate place. If you are off campus and you're trying to get access to some of these software, you will need VPN access. VPN is just something that lets you log in first to the VPN that lets you access the Acadia network safely to make sure that you are actually who you say you are. And often you will need to use that VPN to use the software afterwards. And again, in the hub, each specific academic software will tell you what you have to do and whether you need to use the VPN when you're off campus. When off campus, so we've talked about, or when on campus, we've talked about off-campus access. There are a couple of specific things on campus. So if you're on campus and you're trying to connect to the Acadia Wi-Fi, use the Acadia network, not the Acadia guest network. The Acadia guest network won't give you access to all the resources that you need, so it is really quite important to use the Acadia network. You'll be needing to get your username, as we talked about at the beginning, so that email address and your password. And again, it makes sure that you have access to all of the resources. If you're living in residence, you've probably hopefully figured this out during your quarantine, but if not, you can set up your gaming consoles or your streaming devices. You have to register your MAC address first, and there are examples of how to do this in the hub. And this is a different Wi-Fi network, and it's the Acadia DeviceNet Wi-Fi network. And that's just to make sure that we're not making too much noise on the Wi-Fi network for your classes and the work that you need to do, and it just gives you a different access. If you've tried to set up your desktop printer, for that you need a USB cord. So you can't use a wireless printer in residence. It has to be connected directly to your printer. You can get those through the service desk, the bookstore, or you can go to a local store such as Staples or order through Amazon and have it delivered. Personal wireless routers are not permitted. They clutter up the airwaves and they make the Wi-Fi worse for everybody around you. So they are not permitted. If you are having problems with Wi-Fi, please let the service desk know while you're in residence, and we will work with you to fix that. And again, that's another one of those, please answer your emails if you've reported a wireless issue so that we can help you fix it. There are phones in all of the residence rooms. You can dial 7 to get an outside line. If you want long distance, you'll have to purchase a calling card, which you can get downtown at some of the stores. And local and incoming calls are free. And dial 911 in case of an emergency. There is on-campus printing, so if you don't have a small printer for your room, that's okay. There's on-campus printing available at the library. To access that, you have to install something called the Secure Print printer. If you were installing a printer at home, it might be something like HP PhotoJet Laser, but instead of that, it's the Secure Print. And basically what that will let you do is print while you're sitting at your printer, and then you can go to the large machines in the lobby of the library, and with your ID card, which is the same as your tap card, you can tap and release that print job. It gives you both black and white and color printing. The first time you do the tap card, you're going to have to actually associate the card with the printer, and there will be instructions by the machine to do that. Each month, your printing is charged and transferred to your student account. If you want to see how much you've printed, you can go to papercut.acadiau.ca to see that as well. If you have a laptop that you need some repairs done to, if you've purchased it through the Acadia store, so our supported models, the Dell and the Apple models, you have full warranty with us. If you've purchased elsewhere, we will try to help you, but we don't want to invalidate your warranty. So best efforts there. With all of our support, you will need an appointment to get into the service desk. It's not a walk-in. You can live chat, you can call, you can send an email, or you can put a request through the hub portal, and we will work with you. And then hopefully we can work with you remotely that you don't need to come in, but if you need to come in, we'll make an appointment for that. So sort of how to get a hold of us, and I just sort of referenced it. We have a live chat function. You can find it ts-chat, or you can go to the hub or our main Acadia website and you'll see the icon for the live chat. I've talked about the hub self-service portal. Again, there's a whole curated section of curated articles on all the things we've talked about and more, to give you some self-help guidance. If you're really struggling and you can't find it, you can always just put in an assistance request and somebody will get back to you on that right away. You can send an email to the service desk or you can call. So those are the ways that you get a hold of us, and then there are ways that we get a hold of you. So we've talked about email. You can follow us on Twitter or Facebook. all of our maintenance, all of our scheduled maintenance outages, unplanned outages, service notices, tech tips, they all go on Facebook, Twitter, and our website. So if you're ever looking for information, those are 3 places to go look, and the hub. So the hub will have a main page, but it also has our Twitter feed along the side if you want to take a look. The important thing to know about the hub, and I'm not sure if you're going to be having presentations from them as well, but you'll also find that student accounts and the registrar's office are in the hub. So if you're accessing and needing information, for example, a letter of permission, you need to do a transfer for accounts, you can also put in a service request through the hub. And I will show you what that looks like in a second. The last thing I just want to point out here is safety and security will send out Acadia alerts through your email as well from a system called Everbridge. So if, for example, campus is shut down for a reason, you'll get a notification from safety and security. You can also sign up to get it text messaged to you. If you go to the safety and security website, that will point you in the right direction to log into that. So this is an example of what the hub service portal looks like, the main page. You can see in the top right-hand corner, there's a sign in. It's really important to sign into this, and you sign in using your network account. There's more available to you if you sign in. There's some stuff that's available, like in basic information about Office 365 if you don't sign in, but if you want what's just available to Acadia staff and students, then you want to make sure you sign in. So again, find answers, look for answers in a knowledge base article, request assistance, and then my open request. So if you've got something that you've put in, if you've put in a request, you'll see it in there. Even if you've called us, we'll put in a request on your behalf so you can see what's outstanding on your behalf. Again, the live chat, there's a new to Acadia checklist where you'll actually find a lot of this information off campus and on campus, as well as I'm going to refer to a sway. You'll see an example of that as well. Popular services. And under departments, that's where you'll find technology services, student accounts, and the registrar's office. And you'll be able to see what services they're providing to you and where you can request information from them as well. And again, this is just an example of a sway. As I mentioned, you'll see that in the checklist. It's around. It's going to give you all of this information that we talked about, minus some of the Acorn information. And walk you through and provide you all the links. So if you're questioning where I go to get that academic software, you can go into this way and find some more information about it. Again, I'd like to put in a little plug for the hub and the live chat. And ask your professors because they'll have a lot of the information that you're looking for with respect to how to be using it. And now I'm sure there are questions. I hope.
So does anybody have any questions? Please feel free. You can type them in on the questions and answer section.
So it was there and then gone. Is that normal? So it was a
click on published, Lisa. You will see the question. Oh, can you briefly go over all the Microsoft stuff at the end? I am a little confused as to how we can access some of the stuff.
So Microsoft, you can access everything that's available to you from office365.acadiau.ca. That will give you access to the portal with all of the applications. From within there, you can download the desktop versions, and that means the entire suite, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, more than you could ever want. Teams is a separate download, but once you go into Teams, you can, in the bottom left-hand corner, there will be something that says download Teams. Again, in that sway that you can get access to, there is the ability to go directly to the link. In Teams, the help is actually really good. If you have any questions about Microsoft Teams, go there. There is something, if you want to learn about how to use a lot of the Microsoft applications, Google is amazing and you can find all sorts of information about it. There is also something called Microsoft Learn that you have access to as a student that gives you all sorts of free training, videos, how-tos, all sorts of really solid information.
I see that a person is asking about, can I purchase any Dell laptop through the Acadia store? And I see that one of our technology services people, Jerry George, is answering that question in the post. I am not, oh, there you go. Jerry says, yes, you can. Here's the site. So if you go to that link, you can find out what computers are available.
Yeah, so basically we have some minimum requirements that you're going to want to make sure that you have in terms of memory and speed, but basically, yes.
Tara asks, do the printers have certain hours because of COVID, or can we go in anytime to the library to print things?
As long as the library is open, you can go in anytime to print things. And I think they are 8 to 8, but I could be wrong. So just double check the library website in terms of their hours. But certainly if the library is open, you can go in anytime. And they're right as you walk in, so they are easily accessible.
And someone asks, will exams be done all online as well? Different courses are going to handle their exams differently. You may have some courses where you have a take-home type of exam where you would do it at home and upload it via the learning management system. You may have some places, most exams will probably be online, but not necessarily. That's going to depend on your course, and that's one of the questions to ask your individual instructors, and I would ask that question early on.
Just to clarify on that one question about can you purchase any Dell laptop through the Acadia store, it is a select number of models. It's not any laptop that Dell produces. Just want to clarify. I didn't catch that when I read the question the first time.
Thanks, Jerry.
One of the things I am going to suggest, in first year, you won't quite get so many software packages that are, I don't want to say unique, but specific to your discipline. For instance, in chemistry, we use a couple of software packages that probably aren't used in any other departments. One is something called ChemDraw. You won't need that until the second year, but it allows you to draw organic molecules, and there's a way to get that, and you'll be told in your organic class when you need it. But many departments have other specific pieces of software that you'll end up having to use, and they'll let you know how you can access them. I see Evelyn has a question. Could you explain using a VPN? I'm learning online and don't quite understand. Maybe Jerry can help us with that one.
Yes, VPN is a virtual private network, and what it basically does is when you install the VPN program and you sign in, what it does is it connects you directly to Acadia, almost sort of through like a pipe, so that nobody can see anything. It's private, nobody can see what's going on, but it actually makes a very secure link to Acadia, which then we know who you are, and we know exactly what you're allowed to have access to. So it allows us to give you services to people outside of Acadia just simply by knowing who you are. So it's essentially just a program you run that physically connects you to Acadia's network through the internet. So it's something that is required depending on what services you're trying to get, especially if they are sensitive services or something that we really wish to protect. So Usually when you're trying to get software packages and stuff, you will require it to actually get it installed. Some will actually require you to have it while you're running the package as well. So when you go to the hub and you look up information on, say, the software package that you're trying to use, it will tell you in the article about that particular software package, whether you need a VPN or whether you're going to need a VPN while you're running it or just to get it installed.
I just want to add a little bit to that. A good example of where you will need the VPN, a lot of times we read specific journals, and Acadia has subscriptions to these journals, so you can download articles if you're on the Acadia network. And if you're at home, you wouldn't be able to download the article because the journal would recognize that you're not at an Acadia web address. And that's where you would use your VPN as well, because once you start your VPN, the journal will understand that you're going through Acadia and that you would have access to those journals so that you can do so. Anonymous asks, what is that information for contacting the tech services for Wi-Fi problems?
So I put up the various general ways just on the screen. And Jerry, would you mind just throwing in the hub link for?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So Jerry will post the specific service request for Wi-Fi issues. But again, if you use the live chat, a service consultant will be able to help you with that. And the next one I see is I clicked the link for the Office 365. So when you go into Office 365, if you click on your, Jerry, correct me if I'm wrong, the cog, so the little spinny wheel, you will see something that says download the applications. Did I get that right, Jerry?
I'm just bringing up the site just to make sure that something hasn't changed. But yeah, when you go to the Office 365 website, there's a block called Install Office with a little down arrow. And when you click onto it, you can actually click on the Office 365 apps and it'll start the download and do the install from that point forward.
It's at the top right of your screen in Chrome as a browser.
Yes.
Thank you.
And although you can use a lot of those programs live on the web, I would really suggest that you do install the programs on your computer. It's much easier editing a Word document if you're just working by yourself, using it resident on your computer, that is the downloaded version, rather than the version that shows up on the web. It has a little bit less functionality, and the way you may use the program sometimes is slightly different. So I would very much recommend you download it and get used to using that software resident on your computer.
To answer the question about whether the VPN is accessible through the hub, the instructions on how to download it and access it are available through the hub. So if you type in the search bar VPN, you'll get the instructions for your particular operating system. And there's Anna's just sent that along.
Okay. Any further questions? We'll just hang out here for a minute or two in case someone thinks of something. Okay, if that's it, I want to thank Lisa and Danielle for the presentation today, and Jerry and Justin for being here helping us on the back end and answering questions, and Anna as well for taking care of all of the publishing of the questions and backing me up with the producing. And if there are no further questions, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Good luck this year.
Bye, everyone.